This is the Hub on Hollywood Flash Review Edition. Jamie and I, we both watched the final episode of Loki, which turned out to not be the series finale, but the season finale of Loki.
Okay, yeah, I know. Season two, season
I
two.
wasn't expecting that.
No, but that is wonderful news. That's great because right now Loki has just blown up the MCU. The end of the show directly leads into everything else, a whole new direction for MCU that literally can go anywhere. That opens every
It's splitting everything
possibility,
apart.
can bring everyone back to life. Anything that they want to do that they can do, they've set that up. So it's absolutely amazing. Loki edition. So James, I just wanted to get your initial gut feeling, and then we're just gonna dive into it. Like, how did this make you feel?
So I will say that I was tense the entire last episode, just because we are introduced to this new character who is the one behind the TVA. We don't get an official name, but it's presumed that this is Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
And during the entirety of it, just like how I felt during Infinity War when anytime Thanos was on screen, I felt this guy could defeat anybody. And so I'm worried for everybody. With this episode, with the introduction of, we'll just say Kang for, just for posterity reasons. When Kang was on screen, I was at the edge of my seat just because I had no idea what this guy had planned, what he's capable of doing, and what was in store for Loki and Sylvie.
Oh my gosh, there's just something about his performance, that actor Jonathan Majors.
Good.
It was just so unsettling, and it was so like his reactions were just so contrary to what you would expect, and it was just like all out. It was just very unsettling, and I agree with that. The tension there, it was edge of your seat the entire time, but you don't realize how much dialogue there is. Like we go on a long journey of exposition, but it doesn't feel that way. Like it was very well written, well paced, and if you think about how a lot of these conversations go, it could have been very repetitive. It could have been poorly done, but it was spectacular. It was well done here. Mm-hmm. So why don't we get started? Why don't we just talk about like beginning to end real quick? We're gonna go through this. Yeah, let's get into this. So we start with the opening credits. With all of the movies, with all of the MCU films.
Had my heart fluttering for some reason.
Yes. Like it makes you emotional right off the bat. I know there was something about it because the implications of Loki is going to change everything. It's going to change the entire direction of this entire universe. So that was a very fitting and subtle and thing that they did was having that extended credit there in the beginnings with all the quotes from the shows and the movies and stuff like that, and which flows directly into all of these quotes. A look at the current timeline and all of these inspiring quotes from all of time. You've got Malala Yousafzai, you've got Greta Thunberg, Nelson Mandela, MLK. Like you've got like all of these very inspirational people. And then we're looking at black holes, and then you're looking across the timeline and going through space and time, and suddenly we're there at the Citadel at the end of time, where Sylvie is hesitating to kick open that door, James.
Yeah, she was a little nervous because she's been waiting her entire life to take down the TVA, and she has her chance, she has her moment, and she doesn't know exactly how it's going to go down. And so, yeah, I understand her being pretty nervous, but when they go in, the first thing to scare her and Loki wasn't Kang, but actually was Miss Minutes.
Oh my gosh!
That flash pop-up.
Oh my gosh, that was like a total like horror movie jump scare. Like right in the my heart went in my throat. James, I was not expecting that. Dang it, Miss Minutes. She almost gave me a heart attack. Screw her. Miss Minutes has an attitude. She has.
Oh yeah, she's in on the whole thing, and so she's dropping it.
She's apparently a creation of Kang's, and she's sort of the gatekeeper there. And it's almost like a test. It's almost like the final test for these two. She's like, we can give you everything you've ever wanted. You can You can defeat Thanos. You can be king of Asgard. Sylvie, you can have a happy life full of great memories. You could be together in the same timeline. Like it's the ultimate whatchamacall, temptation
Right.
for the both of them. And they said no. I was almost expecting them to say, you know what, fine. I'll take
I
that.
was. Yeah, I do get it's funny because kind of like with the temptation, it leads back into going into King, and I've heard the comparisons of God, the devil,
Yeah,
apples, and the temptation of choice and free will, and we do get that symbolism,
yep,
especially when King is literally eating an apple in front of them and tempting them with these two possibilities, everything that they could ever want, or eternal damnation, or
right,
i.e
right,
total chaos with the multiverse.
right.
But when
And
they
later,
met,
hmm
as you said, the pacing was done very well. I didn't expect it to be so heavy on the exposition, but you know what? That's what you needed when you introduce a character like Kang and you're kind of wrapping up and really painting the picture as to how everything is working. And so,
hmm
but no, they did a really good job with the pacing. And this is where we saw the divide of both Loki and Sylvie. Of course, initially they're both on opposite ends, quite literally at each other's throats. But then they join this bond and they have this connection that intertwined. But at the very end, their paths separate once again. And that I was very surprised by, and a lot of
yeah,
people calling out Sylvie acting as Star Lord and how he
yeah.
acted in Infinity War when
Damn it,
he was the
Star-Lord.
one to ruin everything when when they're trying to remove the stones from Thanos'
Yeah,
Infinity Gauntlet.
yeah. Well, just to make a quick point about what you were saying about the devil too. There is a point where Kang says, so you came to kill the devil. And for Sylvie, he really is. Sylvie has this very tragic backstory, and she spent her entire life since she was a child. Presumably, she's thousands of years old because she was, as she said, she was pruned before Loki was even born. So she spent thousands of years, her entire life on the run, with no family, no friends, just always in survival mode, and with no happy memories until she met Loki. Like this has been her most likely her driving motivation. The thing that has kept her alive, that keeps her heart beating, is revenge, is destroying the TVA, is killing the man behind the curtain. So that's a very hard thing to give up. Even when Sylvie and Loki sit down and they hear the story, and Loki believes Kang that there are all these different versions of Kang, all these from all of these different universes that sort of they opened portals to each other, and that infinite versions of him that were a lot infinitely more evil than the original Kang that opened up the first portal that led to multi-dimensional war that destroys everything and everyone. And that doesn't sound appetizing to Loki. Like he's got his logical brain still.
Right.
But for Loki, it's, I mean, for Sylvie, for Sylvie, it's all emotion. It's all emotion. All she can focus on, like you said, like Star Lord, is that feeling, is that betrayal, that hurt, that grief, that pain, that everything that she's been through, that desire for revenge, that bloodlust, James. That bloodlust is not something you can just give up after a little spot of tea with
Right.
King the Conqueror there.
Yeah,
So
I think Loki had more of the growth because I think if Sylvie had gone through the same experience or journey that Loki had gone through, then
yeah,
she wouldn't have been so quick to pull the trigger or to plunge the knife into Kang. But she goes for it and she forces Loki back into the TVA and then she follows through with killing Kang and then immediately
yeah,
you can see the timeline splitting in every way
yeah.
in every direction.
hmm
And now with Kang, saying after he was stabbed, saying, "I'll be seeing you soon," and with a smirk
Oof,
on his face and
oof,
a wink at his
oof.
eye, you could tell
Yeah,
that that one's gone. But he knows that again. One thing that this episode was able to explain or describe eloquently was time and how it's cyclical and
yeah,
it goes in a circle. And so this is a timeline that's meant to repeat itself over and over again. And Kang, yeah, he's
time.
gonna have his time and his go around one more time, But again, all the other evil or worse versions of Kang are going to
Yeah.
be out there and causing this war.
Well, can I say though that I am dancing in the streets, James, maybe not literally, but dancing in the streets at how well they stuck to character and they didn't break character for Loki and Sylvie, and it was just very believable. Their falling out and how they end up battling each other over whether or not to kill Kang, and it was heart-wrenching. It was emotional. You know, Sylvie's like, why aren't we seeing this the same way? And it's like, and Loki says, because you can't trust and I can't be trusted, and they're really going at it. And then there's a very interesting moment, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this, where she's pushing him away with magic, and then he disappears and then reappears, and she's got the sword on his throat, and he's like, look, I know what you feel. I've been where you've been. Don't ask me how, but I just want you to be okay. And I feel like in that moment that possibly she inadvertently maybe transported him to her memories or flooded him with her feelings and everything that she's experienced, and maybe he got stuck in a time loop and then popped back out and knows how she feels. And that's just very, very wonderful. In storytelling, James, and in life, I mean, there's nothing as alluring as someone who understands you, and it's something to strive for, that idea of soulmates or that other person that it just knows you inside and out. And I love how they did that. And then Sylvie has an emotional response. She kisses him, but she decides that she's still going to go through with what she's going through. As she pushes him out, sends him out to another TVA, and then throws that desk and goes to Kang. Aren't you going to beg for your life? That would have been satisfying for her, but it wasn't, because he was so giddy and excited, even, as she was plunging the sword into his heart, like you said, which is part of that unsettling feeling and that wonderful performance from Jonathan Majors there. But what do you think about that? When Loki disappears, do you have any theories about that? And
I'll be honest, that's the first theory I've heard of that. That never crossed my mind. I didn't really see anything that would. Now if there was a zoom into the mind and come out for a second, I could see that. That didn't cross my mind at all. But I do like that. Obviously, she didn't want to kill Loki. That she wanted him to still be alive, but just out of the way. She felt this was the right thing to do, and yeah, when I knew she had to stab him, because this is what happens for the multiverse to occur, for the multiverse war to occur. So I knew it had to happen, but still seeing her plunge that dagger in there, it hurt me. I was like, oh no, all the Marvel superheroes, they're going to be in for one heck of a fight because of her.
Right.
So that was unfortunate. I do see them reuniting, of course, Sylvie and Loki. That's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds, and if they are still on the same page, if Loki's still sympathetic, especially seeing now in this new TVA that Kang is now the face of the TVA officially and in charge, and so. I will mention my one con or criticism of the episode, and I have seen this around also, but a lot of people were disappointed that it seemed like this episode, when it could have kind of wrapped up, maybe not wrapped up, but showed or devoted more time into the character of Loki, because this show is about Loki. If this episode was able to devote more character development on Loki, as opposed to building up and teasing the next thing in the MCU, the next thing that's going to be watching, the next thing that we're all going to go out and watch. And so I have seen people criticize the show or Marvel for, again, continuously teasing the next thing. We know what's coming up, but they kind of wanted to see this moment kind of be encapsulated within its own world. And then season 2 surprised me also.
I think those people need to be a little bit more realistic. There's a reason why these shows were created, and that's for them to make money. So that is, that's just the reality of it.
That's the reality. But canon,
it's a great story, and I think that we got a lot. I mean, we got a lot more than you would have gotten either way, alternately. But I don't know. Like King said, grow up. Come on, grow up. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, they want to make their money, James, and they certainly are. I love that they are doing this because in previous superhero movies or in previous cinema, there's never been anything like this. You don't get that development. You don't get like TV shows that lead into movies that all tie together. You just get 2 hours of years or decades of comics crammed into 2 hours, and it's just unsatisfying and short, and it can't ever be what it needs to be. But this is just so cool. This is just so cool how they're going with it.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. I think the next things that are going to be popping up, everyone's waiting for the new Spider-Man trailer to come out, because I think the Spider-Man movie comes out later this year, and a trailer for it hasn't even dropped yet, which is very, it was done on purpose because of, they're waiting for Loki to wrap up and whatnot. So everybody is next waiting for to see the next Spider-Man trailer. I guess some toys have been leaked around, so it shows some kind of like Spider-Man / kind of sorcery kind of looking Spider-Man suit. So he could be doing some time jumping, some dimensional multiverse jumping. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. Overall, I love the season. I love Loki. I would still rank it Loki, WandaVision, Captain and the Winter Soldier, or now I'm calling it Captain, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
It's not wrong. You're not wrong.
Not wrong. But that's my order right now on the Disney Plus series. But Loki, a lot better than I expected. Again, I like the Loki character. I like Tom Hiddleston and how he portrayed it. But this did the character even more justice, and again, more character development, and makes him one of my favorite, not the favorite, but up there on the list of MCU characters. So I'm satisfied.
Awesome. Yeah, and Kang, this is kind of a bold move. The Conqueror, he's the confirmed villain for the Quantum Mania, the Ant-Man movie that's coming up. And you don't often get like the villain. I mean, we saw Thanos in the after credits scenes, but those were only a few seconds at a time. You know what I mean? Like, we got a whole episode with the main villain of a future movie, and it was a really great introduction. So I want to see more of Kang. I want to see more of his actor, because that was really well done. Yep, I'm excited for Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and Ant-Man and everything that's coming after this, because I had no idea. How are you supposed to move on after, Iron Man is dead and Captain America is dead, and where do you go with these stories from here, and how do you make it like digestible for modern audiences? And man, they have done it. Like, they've really knocked it out of the park. So it's a really good setup. I want to see what happens with Loki and Sylvie, and how they ever make it back to each other.
Yeah, I'm curious how season 2 is going to look.
Yeah. So that'll be really cool. And Mobius, we love Mobius.
He'll be back.
So.
But let me ask you, watching us right now, what do you think of the season 2 of the season finale, the last episode of Loki? Was it everything you expected? Were you wanting more? Was it just enough? Let us know down below. Join the conversation.
Also, the twist of Kang wanting to turn over the reins to Loki and Sylvie. Do you think Loki and Sylvie would have been better rulers than Kang? Do you want Loki to be your benevolent overlord for all time? Let us know.
No, that would be a good what if for the Disney Plus series. What if Sylvie and Loki did accept that, and then became the official timekeepers for all of existence?
I think I dig that. I don't know. I feel like Sylvie would have done a good job. But
I feel like Loki shifted. I think he would have done a good job too.
Yeah.
But then that wouldn't be fun.
I know it would be boring. There would be no other story to tell after that. But I'm gonna start fan fictioning that though, because I think that would have been great. I think it would have ended well. But anyways, that's our review of the Loki finale. We're both excited about it. Minor criticisms here or there, but I would say this is my top ranking for among the MCU shows so far as well. So go Loki! Congratulations, Tom Hiddleston, and all of those folks. Looking forward to season 2 and all the films to come. And you guys should continue to hang out with us, because we'll be there for all of that. here on the Hub on Hollywood. So until then, I'm Jamie.
I'm James. Bye.
See ya.